Supernatural adventure series Life is Strange is returning with a new installment. In Life is Strange Double Exposure, you must identify your best friend's killer to save her in an alternate timeline where she is still alive, making use of your supernatural powers to investigate both worlds. Whether you're a fan of the original game or looking for a new, suspenseful and emotional murder mystery, here are 5 things to know about Life is Strange Double Exposure. Double Exposure is set in the seemingly idyllic campus of Caledon University, where our protagonist, Max Caulfield, works as a photographer in residence. As a direct sequel to Life is Strange, the game starts by reintroducing us to Max and catching us up on her new life, useful for both returning fans and series newcomers. But it's not long before things take a sudden turn south. Safi, one of Max's closest new friends and partner in crime from the beginning of the game, is discovered by Max dead. Mildly traumatic, to say the least, Max promptly goes into the first stage of grief, trying to reawaken her supernatural abilities to go back in time, apprehend the murderer of her loved one, and save them from their untimely demise. If you're familiar with the original game, you'd have reason to believe that this is a feat Max may be able to achieve. But, as the title goes, life is strange, and instead Max finds herself in an alternative reality where Safi is still alive. Using her new power to shift between worlds, Max is determined to prevent Safi from being killed in the second timeline. Max's dimension-hopping, reality-warping, dual responsibility-juggling new power, more succinctly named Shift, is a core mechanic in this murder mystery. It can be achieved at specific shift points, which can be cleverly used to reach inaccessible areas in the parallel timeline, such as a locked office. Both worlds share the same time, same setting, and sans Safi, same characters, but starkly different atmospheres. In the dead timeline, a murder has occurred and there's a crime scene to investigate. Characters are dealing with the repercussions, and the university's hybrid Halloween and Christmas holiday, aptly named Krampus on Campus, has been cancelled. Meanwhile, in the living timeline, things are somewhat normal. You have no believable excuse for why you ghosted everyone for a few days, and Krampus is still spreading his holiday spirit. But Safi's killer is still at large and ready to strike again at any moment. In one timeline, they may be covering their tracks, and in the other, they are still preparing to strike. The crux of gameplay is in pulling the evidence and clues you find in both worlds together to work out which suspect fits the bill, which is more complicated than it seems, given that Safi apparently kept a few things from you. Hey, at least you have another Safi to talk to, right? Definitely not weird or suspicious how you discovered all this post-mortem evidence about someone who's still alive. When will you decide to bring Safi into your confidence? And how can you possibly explain what you know? Making difficult and complex decisions involving characters without revealing your secret supernatural investigation is a core part of the game, and many of these decisions will have consequences later in the story. Another tool which Max can use is transferring items from one timeline to the other as she shifts. Cow skull too high up to reach? Go grab a stepladder from the alternate snapping turtle bar. Finders keepers. Moving items between timelines is a key element of puzzle solving and overcoming physical roadblocks in your investigation, whether you're snatching a spare key or tracking down a certain document. There's lots of items to find, so if you find yourself stuck, it's always worth snooping around the opposite timeline. On special occasions, Max can also use her Entangle ability, which allows her to swap the physical properties of an object with its counterpart in the other timeline. For example, an object which had to be constructed may be able to be switched with its original components from the opposite timeline. Besides Max and Safi, there are 2 versions of every character to interact with. Whilst their personalities remain consistent, each character in the dead timeline is processing the news of Safi's passing. Whether they're dealing with grief, concerned about Max, or trying to discover the truth themselves, Safi's death has a profound effect throughout campus. Navigating different dynamics and emotional states with essentially the same person is one of the challenges of the game. Whilst one of Max's 2 potential love interests may be understanding as to why she missed their date in the dead timeline, good luck coming up with an excuse in a world where Safi is still breathing. On the flip side, this can be used to your advantage. If someone is unwilling to provide important information, you can always hop over to see if their counterpart is more relaxed and malleable. Give them the old Max charm. Whilst Max can only shift at specific places, she's able to detect people and objects in the opposite timeline from anywhere. This ability, named Pulse, comes in clutch when you want to locate a specific person or object without completely changing scenery. It's also useful if you're trying to avoid someone in one timeline, the ultimate ghosting technique. Another fun feature is that whilst using Pulse, Max can actually hear what other people are saying in the other timeline.
Any color Jack can beat any other with the right cards.
Whilst lips might be sealed around Max's watchful eye, you can eavesdrop from the safety of the other timeline thanks to Pulse. If you're a thorough sleuth, or just a particularly nosy person, you might even catch someone spilling their heart out. Embroiled in the murder mystery of one of your closest friends, the only way to unravel the truth behind Safi's death is to use your supernatural powers to travel between two different timelines. Uncover the truth in Life is Strange Double Exposure, releasing on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on October 29th. For more on Life is Strange, stick with IGN.